The Indiana Hoosiers versus the Miami Hurricanes for the college football championship game on Monday night. Let's go.
This is Locked On Bets, the daily betting show that means business from the Locked On Podcast Network. Hosted by Lee Sterling and Kevin Rogers, they're dropping fearless picks with an inside edge to put money in your pocket. If there's action, they've got the lock. This is where smart bets start. It's Locked On Bets.
Welcome to the Monday edition of Locked On Bets. Kevin Rogers and Lee Sterling of Paramount Sports with you. And as always, we appreciate you making Locked On Bets your first listen of the day here on the Locked On Podcast Network. It's time for the national championship tonight, college football. Indiana and Miami at Hard Rock Stadium in Miami. Oh, boy. A lot of Hoosier fans will be in South Florida, but also the Hurricanes. They played the first three games on the road and now get the national championship at home. So you guessed it, all four picks will be about tonight's game. So that's all we're covering here on this edition. And we're saving the lock for the end. So we're not going to take the lock out of the gate. You'll get Lee's pick for the game coming up in just a little bit. So let's begin with a couple props. And we'll begin on the Miami side with a blowout special.
Oh, boy. Last one out, turn off the lights. This one's a blowout.
Mark Fletcher Jr. of the Hurricanes. He's been a big part of that offense for Miami this season. And Lee, what do you like with this rushing prop coming up tonight?
So I've been watching this kid, Mark Fletcher Jr., since he was in high school for American Heritage. So he was on actually the same team with Tony, their star freshman receiver. They went against Bain, who played at Central for the state championship game. And what struck me the most about Mark Fletcher is he got better as the game went on, and he was much better in big games. So Mark Fletcher, how has he done in the playoffs here? First game against Texas A&M, 17 rushes for 172 yards, an absolute monster. The second game against what I think is an even better defense, Ohio State, 19 carries, 90 yards. And then in his last game against Ole Miss, and he didn't play most of the last quarter because he had the flu and was throwing up on the sidelines, 22 carries for 133 yards. So what they've done is they've gone from giving him the ball 17 times to 19 times to 22 times, and he didn't even finish out the game. Now the total is 71.5. I know this Indiana defense is tough, but they're still undersized here, and I think Miami's going to shorten the bench. I think he's going to get 80 to 85% of the carries. So if he gets 18 to 25 carries, I think he's almost a shoe-in. We're going to go over 71.5 rushing yards here. That's going to be a blowout special.
And a lot of talent on that Miami side of the ball, obviously, with Carson Beck running the show at quarterback. And now he's in the national championship in his first year with the Canes after his tenure with Georgia. And he mentioned Malachi Toney as well. And he's been a touchdown machine recently. But Mark Fletcher Jr. been the spearhead of that backfield for the Hurricanes. And we'll see what he does coming up against this tough Indiana defense. So now we shift, Lee, to the offensive side of the ball. It's time now for our hidden gem.
To find a diamond in the rough, you need to dig a little deeper for those hidden gems.
Heisman Trophy winner Fernando Mendoza. He is back in Miami, played at Columbus High School. And if you don't know, if you're not from South Florida, we understand. Columbus is a big private high school down in South Florida, good athletic department. And he is from that school and played football there. And for some reason, ended up at the University of Miami, was at Cal, then transferred to Indiana. But anyway, ended up winning the Heisman Trophy. So now he's back in South Florida playing for a national championship. So what we're looking at with him, according to FanDuel, the alt passing yards you could look at, there's different increments there. Obviously, the odds change with every increment. We're going to go with over 225 passing yards at minus 112. So a very reasonable number to lay. And also, I think a reasonable number for him to get to. Now, the last four games, Mendoza has not reached 225 passing yards. You say, well, why is he going to break it here against this tough Miami defense, because Miami, they do a great job of stopping the run, and they've done that all throughout the postseason. So you wonder if Curt Cignetti is going to make Mendoza beat this Miami team through the air and not just run the ball. And we know they have Surratt, who's a great receiver as well. But here's a couple other things. 15 games Indiana's played this year. In 14 of those games, Mendoza's completed at least a 30-yard pass. You say, well, how does that impact 225 yards? They can get those long passes downfield. It just depends how many they can get. Also, the last 4 games that Mendoza has not reached 225 yards, here's been his completion numbers. 8, 15, 14, and 17. That's not a lot of completion. So if he can get into maybe the early or the low 20s as far as completions, I think he could eventually get to this number. And I know not a handicapping angle necessarily, Lee. This guy's coming home. And I think that, depending on how the game unfolds, that Curt Cignetti is going to want him to, I don't say get his numbers, but he's not just going to have him throw for 150 yards. If the game, let's just say, is out of hand or whatever it is, if we see Indiana dominate, maybe he'll have him throw the ball a little bit more, get that number up to really celebrate him. I think Mendoza has a chance to get over this. Heisman Trophy winner. Let's take over 225 passing yards at FanDuel, -112 for our college football playoff hidden gem.
I also like it because look at the Miami run defense. Only one team has gotten over 100 yards on them running the football, and that was Ole Miss, 133. And one of those carries was for over 70 yards on a long touchdown run. So you just got to think that if they're going to win this game, it's going to be with his arm. So, yeah, I like the overpassing yards also.
And coming up, we're going to look at the other quarterback, Carson Beck on the Miami side, and prop for him. And we have the lock, as Lee will have a side, his pick for Miami and Indiana. So that is coming up. We did not forget that. We're not just doing all props. We're going to have a side as well for tonight's matchup. So intriguing with these teams. Indiana, not exactly the football history, but having a historic season this year. And we'll see what Miami can do if they can pull off the upset at home and pull off the national championship for the first time since 2001. Long time ago, because 2002, we know what happened there against Ohio State. So since 2001, see if they can get that coveted national championship. All of that is straight ahead as we continue the Monday edition of Locked On Bets. We have finally reached the almost the pinnacle of NFL season as far as the postseason goes. Wild card round done, divisional round done, and the conference championships coming up this week. And FanDuel is officially in playoff mode every game day during the NFL playoffs. FanDuel is giving customers even more ways to get in on the action because right now, every NFL playoff game day, FanDuel users get a profit boost pack waiting for them inside the app. Each game day, you'll see a pack loaded with multiple profit boosts you can apply to the bets that you like the most. Open your profit boost pack first thing on game day and see what boost you want to apply. And you get some more juice on the bets you already like with those boosts instead of forcing you to bet something new. Every play feels bigger. Now we're down to just 4 teams in the NFL. So much excitement as we see who is going to go to the Super Bowl, trying to figure out that mystery. You make your picks and apply your profit boost to go after even bigger payouts while the playoffs get rolling. So visit FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL, and grab your profit boost every NFL playoff game day. We continue the Monday edition of Locked On Bets. Kevin Rogers and Lee Sterling of Paramount Sports. All college football today. The final college football game of the season tonight. The Hurricanes and the Hoosiers. Again, not exactly a matchup anybody predicted. I don't think many people predicted Indiana would ever be in a national championship in football. But here we are. They've been dominant so far during their first 2 wins over Alabama and Oregon. We'll see what happens against Miami. And now it is timely for we haven't had this in a while. Bet a little, win a lot.
They say you'll miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So bet a little, win a lot.
All right, Carson Beck on the Hurricane side. Everything's been talked about with Fernando Mendoza winning the Heisman. Carson Beck in his first year. He was up there for the Heisman early on in the season, remember, and then had that Louisville game, 4 interceptions, and kind of went downhill and looked like Miami's season would go downhill, but he's bounced back and now has Miami in the national championship. So, Lee, what do you like here? Maybe a touchdown prop with Carson Beck.
Yeah, so he's certainly settled in this college football playoffs. not throwing interceptions, looks obviously very composed throwing the football. But they've also made a change. I'm hearing that they told him, you don't see anyone after your first or second look, take off. Just run straight ahead. And sure enough, what did he do? He ran for the deciding touchdown against Ole Miss that won the game. So I think that factors into it. Also, let's say they get to the 1 yard line, undersized Indiana defensive line. You know, some people will say, oh, you go to Mark Fletcher there to another back, but maybe they go with a quarterback sneak here. He's a big, strong guy, and they have that huge offensive line here. So at 10-1, I mean, I think you take a shot here. We're going to go with a bet a little, win a whole lot. We're going to go with Carson Beck, anytime touchdown, 10-1. If we hit this play, we're probably going to be in the Bahamas for the month of February.
Well, he did score the go-ahead touchdown against Ole Miss, so we know he's got the wheels in case they get in the red zone or get by the 10-yard line. Maybe he can take off. We saw that once during the college football playoffs, so we'll see if he can do it again against Indiana. So 3 prop plays in the books. Now it's time to take a look at the side, and tonight's lock of the day.
Open it, open it, open it! Lee has the key to the lock of the day.
Save the best for last. Doesn't mean the other 3 aren't the best. Just means this is the best for last with the side. Indiana over a touchdown favorite here against Miami, trying to wrap up the national championship. We'll see if the Hurricanes can do it as an underdog. Remember, they were favored against Ole Miss, but an underdog in the first 2 rounds against A&M and Ohio State. So, Lee, what do you like here with the Hurricanes and the Hoosiers on the side?
Okay, so the look-ahead line before the semifinal games were played was Indiana as a 5.5-point favorite. Why has the line jumped all the way to 8.5 points? Well, Indiana, 2 incredibly, easy wins against Alabama, national team here. And I think Alabama just wasn't the same this year. And then against Oregon. So first play of the offensive game, they intercept a ball and go for a touchdown. It was tied up, but from that point on, it was all Indiana. Give them credit. But how often do we see a team run the table and not even be challenged in the college football playoffs? Not very often. So I love Curt Cignetti. If I had to pick one coach to coach my team, he would probably be the guy. But let's look at how they did against the 3 good defenses during the regular season. Against Ohio State, scored just 13 in the conference championship game. Against Iowa on the road, 20. Against Penn State, 27. Do you really want to lay 8.5 points? Team that's actually playing at home might still be 50-50, but I still think Miami will have the home crowd advantage here. Let's look back at how they did when they won their first title. They were 11-point underdog, was Miami against Nebraska. Everyone was talking about that team as the greatest team of all time. They were averaging 52 points per game. I think this Miami team doesn't have one real weakness here. Probably the same with Indiana, but they are playing at home. They also have the former defensive coordinator for Curt Cignetti when he was at James Madison for 3 years, Corey Heatherman. So he has to have a good understanding of what Cignetti's going to try to do. And I think he'll come up with a decent enough game plan to hold them down. I don't see them scoring 30, 35, 40 points against this Miami defense, which has been absolutely excellent during the postseason. Also, let's look at the way the game started. Miami held Texas A&M scoreless in the first half. They held Ohio State and Ole Miss to nothing, absolutely nothing in the first 2 possessions. Couldn't even get first downs here. And just think that this Miami team is peaking. They came off a game against Ole Miss where they didn't play well. They had some absolute just horrible, illegal procedure penalties. They had 20 players that had the flu. They were able to overcome all that. It's tough that first time to get there out of nowhere and win a game here. So I think 8.5 points is just too much here. Miami playing at home. Carson Beck has played in the national title game before and won it here. I'm going to take the 8.5 points. Believe it or not, I have Miami winning this game 27-24. So take the 8.5 and Miami. Also put maybe 25% or also maybe up to 33%, a third of your bet on Miami money line here. It's going to be a level 3 lock.
And also just one other note, that Penn State game you mentioned, that was 20 points going into that final drive. When Mendoza took them down, they had that crazy touchdown at the end to beat them. So that was another game that they really got shut down before that final drive. But again, I'll say this before we wrap things up. I don't want to speak for ESPN or the TV and the College Football Playoff Committee, but I don't see where there's another matchup that's more intriguing than this one. I really don't, because everyone is curious about Indiana to see if they can finish it off. And to see a team like Miami, because of the cachet, playing at home, I just think that there's going to be way more juice in this game than – I don't want to name other teams. I feel like I'm insulting other teams. But if these two, I feel like this is must-watch television to wrap up the season.
Yeah. And like I said, I just think, you got a Miami team at home. I love the storyline with Fernando Mendoza. Great kid. Actually wasn't even recruited. Actually wanted to walk on at Miami under Manny Diaz, and Manny Diaz said no. So Mario Cristobal also played at Christopher Columbus High School. So, should be a great game, but just think the line might be a little bit too high. And anyone wants to check out Paramount Sports, had a great run here. It's our 32nd year doing the college football and the NFL. Check out all the specials. We also do basketball, hockey, player props in the UFC. Just one place, ParamountSports.com.
And don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Locked On Bets. And even though college football wraps up tonight, we still have the NFL Conference Championship games coming up on Sunday, and obviously Super Bowl in a few weeks. So a lot going on, even though college football is over, but it's been a great season. So looking forward to tonight's game. For Lee Sterling, I am Kevin Rogers. Thank you so much for tuning in to this edition of Locked On Bets right here on the Locked On Podcast Network.